Titanomachy. Uranus and Gaia were primordial deities representing the sky and earth respectively. They were the first beings to emerge from chaos and were parents of the 12 Titans. The Titanomachy was a mythological event that unfolded when the Titans, led by Cronus, rebelled against Uranus, their father. This act led to the Titans' rise to power, with Cronus becoming the ruler. The cycle of conflict continued when Cronus, fearing the prophecy that foretold his downfall by his own children, swallowed each of his children upon their birth. Eventually, Zeus, one of the Cronus' sons, had been saved by Rhea, his mother, led the Olympian gods in a rebellion against the Titans. This conflict, known as the Titanomachy, resulted in the defeat of the Titans and establishment of the Olympian gods as the new rulers of the cosmos. Prometheus and fire. Prometheus played a crucial role in the creation of humanity. After Zeus, the king of the gods, created the first humans, Prometheus felt compassion for them and wanted to empower them. Prometheus, defying Zeus's wishes, stole fire from the gods and gave it to humanity. By providing fire, Prometheus allowed humans to cook food, stay warm, and develop various skills and crafts. Zeus, angered by Prometheus's disobedience, punished him severely. Prometheus was bound to a rock, and each day an eagle would come and eat his liver, which regenerated each night due to his immortality. Punishment continued until Hercules, as part of his labors, eventually rescued Prometheus. Pandora's box. Zeus ordered the creation of Pandora as punishment for Prometheus stealing fire and giving it to humanity. Pandora was given a jar, often referred to as a box, by the gods, and not told to open it under any circumstances. Pandora eventually succumbed to the temptation and opened the box. As she did, various evils and misfortunes were released into the world, spreading disease, sorrow, and troubles among humanity. In some versions, Pandora manages to close the box before one last thing can escape: hope. Atlas. Atlas played a significant role in the Titanomachy, the war between the Titans and the Olympian gods. After the Titans were defeated, Zeus condemned Atlas to hold up the sky or heavens for eternity as a punishment. The task is often depicted as Atlas carrying the celestial sphere on his shoulders. As part of the quest, Hercules encountered Atlas to assist Hercules in his task. Atlas agreed to retrieve the apples for him, so Hercules took upon the sky. When Atlas returned, he expressed a desire to be relieved of his burden by holding up the sky temporarily. Seizing the opportunity, Hercules offered to take the task temporarily, and once Atlas had taken the sky back, he left, leaving Atlas to resume his eternal duty. Daedalus and Icarus. Daedalus was a skilled craftsman, inventor, and architect in ancient Greece. He was commissioned to build a labyrinth on the island of Crete to imprison the Minotaur. Daedalus and Icarus were imprisoned inside the labyrinth by King Minos as to keep the knowledge and labyrinth away from the public. To escape, Daedalus devised a plan to create wings for himself and his son. Using feathers and wax, Daedalus fashioned 2 pairs of wings. He warned Icarus not to fly too close to the sun as the wax would melt. Daedalus and Icarus successfully flew out of their prison. However, as they soared through the sky, Icarus, overcome by the thrill of flight and sense of freedom, ignored his father's warnings. He flew higher and higher, approaching the sun. The wax on his wings melted, and Icarus fell into the sea and drowned. Theseus and the Minotaur. King Minos of Crete, after receiving a white bull from the god Poseidon, was supposed to sacrifice it to the gods. However, he did not do that, so as punishment, Poseidon caused Minos' wife to fall in love with the bull, creating a creature with the body of a man and head of a bull. To contain the Minotaur, the craftsman Daedalus constructed the labyrinth, a vast and intricate maze. The Minotaur was placed in the labyrinth to devour sacrificial victims sent annually from Athens. Theseus, the son of King of Athens, volunteered to be one of the sacrificial victims. Upon arriving in Crete, he met Princess Ariadne, who fell in love with him. She provided Theseus with a ball of thread and instructions to help him navigate the labyrinth. Following her guidance, Theseus entered the labyrinth and confronted the Minotaur, and he successfully defeated the creature using his strength and courage. He then retraced his steps using the thread and led the other Athenian youths to safety. The myth of King Aegeus. Theseus, the son of King Aegeus, eventually grew into a strong and heroic figure. Before departing to Crete to defeat the Minotaur, he agreed to his father that he would change the sails of a ship to white if he was successful in his journey. On his way back to Crete, where he had successfully slain the Minotaur, Theseus forgot to change the black sails to white as a sign of his victory. Seeing the black sails from a distance, King Aegeus, who had been anxious waiting for his son's return, assumed that Theseus had perished in the labyrinth. Overcome with grief, King Aegeus threw himself into the Aegean Sea, which was later named in his honor. Afterwards, Theseus became king of Athens. Sisyphus. One day, Asopus' daughter, Agdia, had been abducted by Zeus. When Asopus asked if Sisyphus had seen anything, Sisyphus mentioned that he saw Zeus fly with Agnia. When Zeus heard this, he was angry that a mortal betrayed him. Zeus sent Thanatos, the personification of death, to take Sisyphus' life. Sisyphus tricked Death by convincing him to demonstrate how the chains worked. Death was chained, allowing no one to die, and so for no one could pass on to the afterlife. Eventually, the gods sent Ares, the god of war, to free Thanatos, restoring the natural order. However, Sisyphus' audacity did not end there. Sisyphus managed to escape death once again by instructing his wife not to perform the customary funeral rites when sent to the afterlife. This way, when he entered the underworld, Hades was frustrated due to an improper burial and sent him back to the land of the living. Zeus ultimately becoming frustrated with Sisyphus' defiance of death many times over, condemned him to an eternal futile task in Tartarus, rolling a boulder up a hill only for it to have rolled back down each time for eternity. King Midas. In one version of the myth, Midas helped a drunken Silenus, a companion of the god Dionysus, who was found wandering in Midas's garden. As a reward for his hospitality, Dionysus offered Midas a wish and promised to grant whatever he desired. Midas, driven by greed, wished that everything he touched turned to gold. Initially, he was delighted with his newfound ability, but soon realized the downside when he tried to eat or drink, and even touching his daughter, everything turned to gold. Distraught and realizing the horror of his wish, Midas begged Dionysus for mercy. Dionysus, showing compassion, granted Midas relief from his golden touch. In another version of the myth, Midas received the cure by bathing in Pactolus River. However, the river's sands contained gold, and the touch of Midas supposedly transformed them into gold as well, giving rise to the legend of the golden sands of Pactolus. Perseus and Medusa. Perseus learns of the prophecy that he will one day kill his grandfather, so he is sent on the impossible mission to get the head of the Gorgon Medusa. Medusa is the only mortal Gorgon. Her gaze turns anyone who looks at her into stone. Guided by the gods and equipped with gifts including a mirror shield from Athena, winged sandals from Hermes, and a sword from Hephaestus, Perseus set out on his quest. He managed to slay Medusa by looking at the reflection in the mirrored shield, thus avoiding her deadly gaze. Perseus and Andromeda. The king of Queen Cassiopeia in Ethiopia boasted that their daughter Andromeda was more beautiful than the Nereids of the sea. Offended by this claim, Poseidon, the god of the sea, sent monsters to ravage the kingdom. King and queen consulted the oracle, who revealed that the only way to appease Poseidon and save their kingdom was to sacrifice Andromeda to the sea monster. Andromeda was chained to a rock along the coast as an offering for the creature. Meanwhile, great hero Perseus was returning from having slain Medusa. Passing over Ethiopia, he saw Andromeda chained to the rock and immediately fell in love with her. As the monster was approaching to devour Andromeda, the brave Perseus started fighting it, and he used the deadly look of Medusa's severed head, petrifying the huge monster, which fell into the sea and became an island. Perseus freed Andromeda from her chains. After she died, the goddess Athena placed her among the constellations in the northern sky. The Apple of Discord. The goddess of Discord was not invited to the wedding of Pallas and Thetis, so she decided to create chaos by tossing the golden apple. Three goddesses, Athena, Hera, and Aphrodite, claimed the apple, each believing that they were the fairest. Zeus, unwilling to fix this dispute, sent the three goddesses to Paris, a mortal prince of Troy, to let him decide. Each of the goddesses tried to bribe Paris. Paris ultimately awarded the apple to Aphrodite, to the abduction of Helen by Paris, which in turn triggered the Trojan War. The conflict between the Greeks and the Trojans lasted for 10 years and resulted in the destruction of Troy. The Trojan War. The war at Troy was sparked by the abduction of Helen. Many Greek leaders had sworn an oath to protect Helen's husband. Notable figures such as Achilles, Protallatus, Odysseus joined the forces. The Greeks assembled in a formidable army and sailed at Troy, where a lengthy, brutal war ensued. The conflict lasted for 10 years. The Trojan War was finally concluded with the fall of Troy. The Greeks pretended to withdraw, but left a giant wooden horse as an offering. The Trojans brought the horse inside their walls, not knowing the Greek soldiers were concealed inside. The Greeks emerged at night and opened the gates, trivially allowing their comrades to enter. Troy was sacked and the war came to an end.